Honourable members, I am Kerry Sharpe, and for the past 2 years I have had the pleasure and the privilege of serving alongside you as a member of the Legislative Council. I sit before you today because I want to continue the important work we've already started in helping to improve the quality of life for the people of the Isle of Man. 2 years ago, you gave me the opportunity of what could be termed a 2-year apprenticeship, and I have enjoyed that process. As a member of the Legislative Council, I have scrutinised 22 pieces of legislation and successfully taken 3 bills through Council for the Department of Health and the Cabinet Office. In Tynwald, I've debated a range of subjects and have introduced topics for debate, defending my arguments in what I trust is an informed and respectful manner. As a member of the Department of Health and Social Care and political lead for children and families, I've developed a solid understanding of government departments and used that knowledge to enhance my scrutiny. I've learned about policy and procedure, about structure and governance. I've learned about the legislative process from drafting instructions through to final bill. By working my way through 22 pieces of legislation, I've learned to drill down, to examine how past acts might be affected by new legislation, to horizon scan for best practice, and to make sure the legislation we are passing is in the best possible shape for the people of the Isle of Man. Honourable members, I'm proud to be here as a Manxwoman and to say that over the past 2 years I have, with your support, got things done. My investigations led to the Notfield inquiry, the evidence I gave to an extension of that inquiry's remit, and a national conversation on historic child abuse, which has led to survivors feeling listened to for the first time. I know my work has led, both directly and indirectly, to new legislation, a new policy and strategy on accommodation for vulnerable young people, a new policy on the way children's records are kept by third sector organisations, and a reintroduction of personal education plans for all looked after children. Most of all, I'm pleased to have helped grow a new positive relationship between Tynwald members and our children in care. And it's a relationship I would like to have the opportunity to advance further. I might not have been able to change the past, but working together with colleagues, I have been able to make the future better for some. Honourable members, I believe I've been effective and I have delivered. I have a solid foundation of knowledge and experience to build on, and I'm ready to commit to the next 5 years. I hope you will give me the opportunity to continue our work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mercer.
Honourable members, I offer myself as a candidate for election to the Legislative Council. Since 1998, my family and I have made our home here in the community of the Isle of Man. My reasons for standing are to see the island continue to flourish, that my skill set is a complementary match for the role, and that the opportunity to serve has presented itself. The Isle of Man finds itself at a time of transition and global systemic change, and my career and life experience to date has prepared me for the challenge we now face. I have experience in a variety of business sectors, including local government, financial services, and e-gaming, as well as running my own IT consultancy for 6 years. This gave me a tremendous insight into the challenges faced by small businesses, and I've acquired a wide portfolio of skills, which allow me to bring an additional perspective to the scrutiny of legislation and government. A lifelong career in IT has skilled me in analytical techniques that enable me to scrutinise and interpret highly detailed requirements in order to then translate into actions to deliver effective solutions. Absorbing new knowledge, managing change, and identifying areas to improve or refine have been the key demands of my career to date. I know that these abilities, coupled with my business experience, will therefore both supplement and complement the skill sets of members of the Legislative Council. With regard to the various initiatives I've been involved with in the last few years, I have demonstrated that I'm capable of seeking out information and sources of evidence, and I can compile these into reports and presentations for multiple audiences. I have had the privilege of presenting some of these findings to members of Tynwald. A number of MLCs have highlighted the importance of their role as a critical friend, and I will demonstrate that I can provide such challenge when required and support when needed. I'm ready for the considerable challenges that the responsibilities of being a member of the Legislative Council demand. I welcome the opportunity you have given me to submit myself to your scrutiny today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miah.
Pastor Miah. My name is Zahed Miah. Some of you might know me already through my years working in government. I'm an experienced economist and I've been living in the Isle of Man for the last 17 years, and I'm proud to call the Isle of Man my home. Now I'll just tell you a bit more about my work here in government. I started off in the Economic Affairs Division in 2003 and worked there, which is now part of the Cabinet Office, collecting, collating and analysing government statistics. And that involved economic indicators such as the inflation report, national income accounts, house prices, passenger survey, and all this information of course was supplied to the quarterly report. I'm also responsible for many of the surveys undertaken. I was involved in the census, household income expenditure survey as well. When I moved to DEFA OFT, I gained a great knowledge of legislation and the parliamentary process. I was involved in the consultation of the competition bill. I wrote the drafting instructions and the explanatory notes. And during this time, I was also in conversation with many civil servants in the UK, especially those involved working in the Competition and Markets Authority. And in that dialogue, I learned about how to make sure our legislation is in line with UK and EU standards, whilst at the same time it's fit for purpose here in the Isle of Man. I also learned that when bills are written, they should always be necessary, proportionate, reasonable and fair, and they should be clear and easy to understand to the public as well. I was involved in the Brexit process, which was extremely demanding, and post-Brexit the devil was always being the detail with regards to, say, a future trade deal. And we will need detailed scrutiny in this area, and with the experience I have in a regulatory capacity, I think I have a lot to offer in this area. With my OFT hat, I've been undertaking anti-competitive investigations, and this has always involved the collection and collation of evidence, whether it be emails, documentations, deciding what's relevant, what is not, drafting questions, interviewing people, and to ensure we obtain the information we need to fulfill the terms and conditions. Being fair and impartial, and I think this would help in a committee role. So I'm confident I'll be able to hit the ground running with my eyes wide open. I have considerable knowledge of government operations. I'm very familiar with the programme for government. With my economic, statistical and regulatory experiences, I feel I can add value to the role. And although I do appreciate there is a lot to learn, I know this will be a very demanding full-time job. However, I'm more than willing to put in the time and effort and really relish the opportunity to contribute to serve the island.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Bell.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, honourable members. My name is Danielle Bell and I'm honoured to be here today. Over the last few months, I've been committed to gathering a greater understanding of the role, and I believe I have a strong skill set that can be well utilised for the Legislative Council and contribute to our unique Parliament. In particular, the objective, analytical, evidence-based research skills used on a regular basis to scrutinise within government. This is with a proven ability to apply these skills to different topics. I have experience working with a diverse range of people. One day, I may have been supporting looked after children, the next day, meeting the Queen. This experience, working with a diverse range of people, is supported through a master's module I completed on valuing people and celebrating diversity. My CV and manifesto highlight a variety of roles, from more operational face-to-face through to more strategic scrutiny roles. All of this shows I can walk the walk. I am proud to be the newly elected parent governor of Cronkerberry School. I observed David Cretney's farewell remarks in the Tynwald sitting, so I just had to follow suit and just show my gorgeous boys. I enjoy life, travelling and being active, but I'm aware this isn't possible for all. Most of the points mentioned so far may be what you would expect of a Legico candidate, but this has been achieved through hard work, strong will and determination to overcome adversity and many challenging life experiences. Looking briefly at my deprived background, my parents in unstable employment, the strain on finances, I have lived experience of fuel and food poverty. This environment caused a lot of stress and conflict in the home, and I'm aware of the impact this had on many members of my family. When my parents separated, it was positive to have less conflict in the home. However, we then had poor living conditions due to 3 years waiting on the housing list. On a positive note, I'm aware of the opportunities this island has, especially through our education system. Without this, I would not be here today. I was brought up on the island. I went to Balaquail, Moyes Road, Park Road and St Ninians. Little educational expectations as expected. I was the first in my family to do A-levels and go to university. Whilst at university, I survived a near-fatal fall. Through suffering significant injuries, including a broken neck, I had to learn how to walk again. This encouraged me to promote healthier lifestyles amongst our community, and when I returned to the island from university, it opened my eyes to public health, where I've been able to explore the evidence of inequalities in our society.
Thank you very much. And Mrs. Lillywhite.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable members and visiting members of Tynwald Legislative Council, you will have all read my personal statement in which I stated my qualifications and experience. From a traditional upbringing in South London, my father was a welder and my mother was a homemaker and still is, even at the age of 89. I find myself here in front of you today to state my case and to persuade you that I am the most suitable candidate to succeed in this election. This is an interesting juxtaposition, as all of you will have stood for election, stated your case and asked for the trust of the electorate. However, by that very process, you have all fought for and won your place in government and are accountable and judged on a record, and I will have not. So why do I think Legislative Council has an important part to play in the process of government? It has a vital role as a revising chamber and a place to scrutinise policy. By supporting, advising and questioning honourable members, a critical friend already mentioned is a much used term, but I think it's very apt here. It should enhance the process of government and provide reassurance to the general public that when policy is enacted through lawmaking, it is guided along the way through evidence-based scrutiny, a detached, experienced eye to seek out, if any unintended consequences, and to focus the light into areas that honourable members may have missed. People want their government to govern, as illustrated so well by the electorate last year on the other aisle, and it is not my intention to thwart that. It is honourable members' role and responsibility to drive policy, and I feel that within the role of member of the Legislative Council, I can add value by informing and supporting honourable members to achieve their goals. I have the depth and breadth of experience and knowledge in such key areas as health, education and local authority provision, and these experiences are influenced both by my role as a frontline staff member as well as a receiver of the same services within the UK and the Isle of Man. My commitment to the Isle of Man, and specifically to Kirkmichael, is well documented. Along with my husband Pete, we have invested in our local area to produce an award-winning home of architectural merit and a nature reserve to eventually include disability access. We are currently constructing a visitor centre to promote sustainable living and inform visitors about sustainable energy. This project has enabled us to give the Isle of Man such positive exposure in all types of media: English and Isle of Man national TV and newspapers, English national magazines and hardback non-fiction books. And that contributes immensely to the ability of the island to attract tourist interest and visitors. I have found that our experiences with the planning department and building control have been fruitful and informative, but in other areas we have been frustrated. As a consumer, a very clumsy word in this context, I
Sorry,
suppose.
thank you. I have to
Oh, sorry.
put you up there. Thank you.